nautical miles.
You avoid.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
The tense relationship between the federal government and the organized labor appears to be a bit relaxed now. The federal government has withdrawn the contempt suit against the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, TUC. The Federal Minister of Justice, in a letter through their counsel, Femi Falana, said the contempt proceedings filed against the unions for embarking on a nationwide protest last Wednesday has been overtaken by events and no longer stand. Judy, can you give us an insight into this?
Yes, it wasn't overtaken by events. Mr. President stepped in, did a letter to NLC's lawyer, Femi Falana, say, oh, look, forget about that contempt charge. I mean,
is there still an injunction against the NLC and TUC from
embarking on strike? You know, when we discussed this thing, I said I had not seen the content of that injunction, because in my view, there's a difference between a strike and a protest. If the order was given for them not to embark on a strike, merely protesting and with people are not stopping people from working. Because when NLC embarks on strike, they will mobilize thoroughly. There are people who man those offices, secretariat, and all to ensure that there is compliance. But in this case, they were just moving around. Yes, it can be argued to an extent that they caused disruption in some places, but there was no attempt to force people to not go to work. So that was the argument that, look, George didn't say we should not protest. He only said we should not embark on strike, you know. So in the end, if you are negotiating with people and they've given you time, that's some level of goodwill on the part of the short man, Jairo. I don't know why Labour people are always short. It's just like his boss, Shomole.
Even Waba.
But Waba is taller. Waba is taller. So now, if Labour has agreed that, okay, we give you time, you know, and Labour said, okay, the president promised that the refinery in Port Harcourt refineries will be ready by December, they were happy. And they said, okay, no more protests. I think it's disingenuous to then, that same day, go and file a contempt charge against them. I don't think it's right. We complain about some of the attitude of these people, the language of war and insults that Ajero has come to be identified with. But in this case, I don't think they've done anything wrong. And as we didn't support the action of government, I'm happy that they have told them that, look, there's no more, the contempt charge has been dropped. So it makes sense, so that the two contending parties can now focus on negotiation and getting the best for workers.
Yes, MJ, getting the best for workers, the minimum wage, a lot of people want to see it. A lot of people want to see the palliative goodies the federal government will be coming out with, and implementation of the one that has been promised. I want to see ease.
It's a good step from the federal government, led by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to have withdrawn that suit against. I mean, it shows transparency. You can't be negotiating with me at one end and be in court with me.
Trying to put me in prison.
And trying to put me in prison. I mean, Falana and Femi Falana's son was livid with rage. He said, come, you are negotiating with these guys. At the same time, you are filing a suit in the court. I want to believe that.
Court to commit them to prison.
To commit them to prison. So that's why they said, before we can even continue to listen to you, well, we withdraw that case from court first, so that we know that you are sincere. And you know, we have a president who is very, very diplomatic. I mean, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he knows his onions, especially and the chief of staff too, Femi Falana. You know, Falana has been
engaging labor.
It was instrumental to the call-off of the 8-month ASU strike, then the call. Now, I think what the federal government needs to do more now is we need an up-to-date information, or rather, constant information on the state of the refinery that they said will be ready by December. These are things that, of course, deliverables. Because by the time we have one of the refineries working, the marketers have even said petroleum price will crash by at least 70 naira. 70 naira is quite a lot. We can do more than that because all the bridging costs, transport costs from and the shipping costs, all those ones will be removed from the cost of, and the pressure on the naira-dollar exchange will also come down when we start refining locally. So, but we need information. The turnaround for these refineries were approved by the Buhari regime. But we need information from the NNPC or whoever is in charge that, yes, this is the stage they are. By December, we are so capacity. And also, Dangote refinery too, we need information because Dangote built his refinery at a concessionary rate of the official rate of the dollar. So the federal government has an equity in Dangote refinery. They should tell us what is happening. They said by August, we should start getting some products from the refinery, not just the urea. We want to know what is happening to these refineries.
All right.